Here are 3 things I actually used to believe as a codependent motherfucker. All right, so number 1, let's jump right in. My life had to fit into their life. And if it didn't, I wasn't gonna ask them to bend. I was gonna ask myself to bend. A great example that I actually have to give my ex more credit for, but he also was codependent, so, was that my number 1 non-negotiable in terms of actions and things is actually someone who does drugs. And that was a huge thing for this person who loved raving. And I remember that immediately when I found that out, and he was really honest about it, because I think I shared what my non-negotiables were. He said, he was honest, which is great. And then I said, oh, maybe there's room for me to work on that. So I would contort or abandon myself in any way. And I will actually give him credit for this too. He said, no, you should never do that. But then in time, he actually did try to sort of contort to me, and it wasn't good for both of us, because I've talked about this in a different video, even though I'm like, that's not it for me. And I do love self-connection. That's my number 1 value. For him, it might just be not. I don't really know what the value is in doing that, but freedom, actually, he's told me a lot, whatever. The point is, it ain't for me, okay? Number 2, I had to answer every single call. Like, I really believed that I would have to answer every call. Like, I would have to have my phone on me all the time in order to just be around to answer the phone. Like, I felt so anxious about not being available to my partner. I think being available is another way to say it. Just always feeling like I needed to be there to answer the phone, to respond to all the things, or I don't even know, or I would be abandoned, or it would cause anxiety for them, and I didn't want that, or like, I also had this thing where I always wanted to be home by their bedtime. Like, if they were going to go to bed around a certain time, I would try to be home so that I could take the call and be going to bed when they were going to bed, even when I lived in different areas, like in different states, like when I was long distance or if I was traveling, I would literally try to arrange that so I could be on their timeline. Oh my God. 3, anything that made them uncomfortable was just a no. Like, as soon as I noticed them being uncomfortable, I would just start to contort and abandon myself. I would just start to change whatever that was. And at first I would act like I was holding my ground, and I'd be like, but I do like it, or whatever, this is my belief, or like, I like dressing like this, or whatever the thing was. And then over time, though, I would slip further and further and further away from that. And it was kind of insidious, because I did like to act like I was like, I don't care, like I'm me. But over time I would actually start to change. And I think that's the thing about codependency, is not all of us are just like 1950s housewives about it, but we let it creep in gently and slowly over time, and little by little we let things go, we let things go more and more, that really means something to us. And that's the difference between healthy and unhealthy. Is, yes, of course we grow together, and ideally your partner and you grow together into the best versions of yourselves you could possibly be, but that's you. Like, you're still growing together in your own light. And maybe they inspire you, but really what they're evoking in you is something that you already were inside, that you were unexpressed about. So it's not like you're changing for them. You're changing into the best version of you, inspired by them. Does that make sense? Which could be the same with a teacher you had, or a good parent, or a good friend, or whatever. There's so many, a mentor. Like, we're not growing into them. We're letting them be an inspiration through their very being, maybe qualities they have, or maybe it's even just they're such a wonderful, integral part of your life that you want to do better in your own self for them too, for yourself, for them. But it's not like, oh, I really love this. This is a huge part of me. I'm abandoning it because of you. Like, maybe you'll grow out of things too, but are you doing it for you or are you doing it for them? And that can also get really blurry because we will convince ourselves that we're doing it for us. I literally moved from my dream life and situation, living in Hawaii, so happy, so joyful, to moving back to California to a small little like suburb area that I literally never wanted to live in my life. And I actually had moved from that area, and that was just a little in between ground. And that's how I met my last partner. But when I was there, I just decided like, this is not for me. And then I fully came back for him and convinced myself that I was doing it for me. And I really was like convinced, like I had fully brainwashed myself, and I was not happy. I was so misaligned. I felt like I was like, where am I? Like so unsettled, like I had one foot into my dream life and another foot in this other life, and I was trying to make this life work, even though that was really where I wanted to put my energy. But I was like, no, you don't need that. Like you want this, like what the hell? And that's where I go back to one of my favorite philosophies from my aunt, which is the sea really is packed. And I am such a lover girl, and I'm with my current partner now, and we've been together almost a year, and he's the best. And I believe her philosophy, the sea is packed. You never need to contort. You never need to self-abandon in order to be in a relationship. There is somebody who will fit you right where they are, right as you are. And yeah, of course, we all do little dances and little tweaks and maybe some big things, but you don't have to leave yourself behind to be in a relationship, and you never should. There's this idea that being single is freedom and like you're locked down or something. There's like a heavier energy when you're in a partnership, right? It sounds like negative or constrictive. And I believe that you can be in a relationship and it can help you flourish 10x. There isn't quite anything like being completely single and sovereign and on your own and flowing in that way. But I really think you can carry those qualities into your partnership so much more than we believe, and then actually have a springboard to be even more expansive. The idea is that your relationship doesn't contract you, it expands you. And that's a really simple way to just ask yourself, do I feel contracted here or do I feel expansive here? And if you're somebody who's sitting here being like, I don't even want to answer that question, I don't know, maybe work with a coach or a therapist, ask that direct question, journal on it, meditate on it, be really real if you can, and you're in a safe dynamic where you can ask your partner to have that conversation with you too. I know these are the hard things that we don't want to do, but I promise you it's the important step for everyone's liberation. And if you really love someone, I finally understood that in the last 2 relationships I was in, if you really love someone, you let them go. How unfair to have somebody shackled to something that isn't true for either of you. And it doesn't mean that the love wasn't real, but it means that it isn't serving your highest expansion here. And for me, I want everyone to have their highest expansion. I want everyone in their highest joy. All the psycho-jealous tendencies I have ever had really disappear towards the end of a relationship where I realize if this is the end, this is the beginning for us, like as individuals, and this is what I actually want for them. And don't ask me, maybe you should ask me, maybe I should have like a real sit down on this, because that is one thing. I've never been jealous of my exes moving on. I've actually only wanted that for them, which is so odd because really, you guys, I have suffered from being a jealous psychopath in the past. And there are certain partners that bring it out of me more than others. Like some I'm like, I literally could care less, not care less, but like, I'm not worried. And then others I've been like, ugh. And I think that's also a chemical, like kind of dynamic. And it's also just somehow different partners are. Like different partners will bring out certain things in you. And that's another thing they ask. It's one of the most flat out, simple 101 questions to ask yourself. Am I a better version of myself in this dynamic? Do I like the person that I am in this relationship? That was a major question for me in my last one. No, I hated myself. Like, honestly, that sounds so painful to hear. Like, it just like seized up my neck and my throat, and my like, I had like an electric, like almost like a nerve, like bing in my body. Like, that is so horrible. It literally struck a nerve. I guess that's what they mean by that. It struck a nerve because it was so sad, and I had done so much work. I was so on a wonderful, healthy path for such a long time. And suddenly I ended up in this really Achilles heelsy type of dynamic where I felt like we were both just so desperately trying to fill each other's core wounds, and we had the same ones. And it made the entire thing very codependent and very magnetic, but not in a healthy way at all, in more of like a black hole way. We were each other's black hole. And I lost myself, and I couldn't stand who I'd become. I was anxious. I would like snap. Like, I never snapped at partners. Like, I would like snap. I was just so depleted. I was so depressed. I was so like scared. I was so just volatile. Like, I was working on trying to just be okay every single day. My hair was falling out. I was gaining weight and then losing weight. Like, it was this crazy cycle. Like, my body wasn't even mine. And I look back on that and I just think, wow, wow, that is not an expansive relationship. That is not what it's meant to feel. It is not, you are not meant to be like, who am I? You're meant to be like, I love myself and my life. That's what you should be saying in your relationship. So take that with you. Sorry if that rocked your boat a little bit. I used to hate hearing stuff like this when I was in that relationship specifically. I was just like, please, like, leave me alone. Like, I was just like, la, 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 until I say this story a lot, but a hawk flew into the back of my head one day when I was like looking for a sign. And I was like, like, I like started like even louder, and then it just got louder and louder and louder until I was waking up at night. And thank God, because literally your spirit will wake you up if you don't do it yourself. And you know what? Thank God, because on the other side of this is such a fucking fantastic life and such a fucking fantastic partner and so much excellence, and you can't even see it now, but you will fall into true alignment when you make the true call for your heart. And you take your sovereignty back, and you can bring that sovereignty into your healthy next dynamic, if that's not the one you're in right now. And if you are, fuck yeah, congratulations. And if you're working on establishing more sovereignty in the dynamic, you can do that too. It's not always one or the other, but I think you gotta really know and communicate. Just communicate. There's something I did, which I'll share in a different video, like how I jumped the gun in this relationship just a couple months ago because I was so scared of losing myself again that I veered onto the other side of the spectrum of just like self-protection, which, thank God, that is so much better than losing yourself. And the happy medium is just communicate, 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 communicate. And that, if you're in a dynamic where it's not safe to communicate, honey, baby, get the fuck out. Sorry, this is like not trauma informed probably, but I can't help myself. I need you to get out. I need you to get out of that. And if that person's not willing to seek like a third party kind of mediator or a therapist or a coach or whatever, yeah, then get out. If you can do it with a coach and you can start to work that dynamic a little bit, then like your life, do whatever you feel like you need to do. But if you can't even start there, what is happening? And I feel for you, and I've seen this dynamic play out very intimately in my life and my field, and it's part of my commitment to just proliferate my message, because I will never let myself get to that point, and I will never let my people get to that point. So, God bless. Anyways, I thank you for listening, And if this is a supportive place for you, I know it's a little harsh sometimes, but I also am here with so much love. Like, you don't even know. You don't even know. So please, if this is helpful, give this a like and subscribe and share this with somebody who maybe might need to ask themselves the questions of, does this relationship expand or contract for me? Am I in a codependent pattern? What's happening here? How can I navigate better? So on and so forth. I will share vulnerably as long as I'm alive. Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much. Have the most beautiful day.